Hey guys, it's Parker here, back with part 9 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So while I press this guy, I'll just talk about the future of my videos for a bit. So I've been playing Genshin Impact a lot, so I didn't even have enough free time to like record this. So yeah. So I usually do like 1 hour recordings, and then I just like edit that 1 hour recording to make it one video. But I think I decided to like record 1 hour of it and then just like cut half of it and then make just 2 videos out of that one recording instead. So yeah, I think I'll just like go with that because I've been playing Genshin Impact and I just didn't have enough time to like record and edit just for one vid voice. So yeah, I just talked about that while just going through the dialogue here. How do you hope to release yourself from that financial burden? By ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just saw a little guinea, or when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. Grr. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. Please don't gamble, folks. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have rebelled rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work?
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Only one of Mr. McGilda's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down, I saw Mr. McGilda sitting beside the other fellow. I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark color stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who printed the accused on the night in question reported there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilda's gloves' hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. No, I didn't see any of myself, no. Not until I heard the scream. You didn't see anything? Yes, sir, that's to say, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, so very sorry, yes. But I certainly was making up stories. Still, to say so, nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing on Mr. Beppo. You're driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please, you didn't even see that? It was so cold and icy. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was very frozen, so I was sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service on London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Oh!
Hold it!
And everything you saw at the incident was through the sky on the roof of the omnibus. That's right, it was fiercely cold that night, but the glasses were frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it was public bus services, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the genocide just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the roaring cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with opposite confidence. That if there was anyone else at all in the cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. I mean, isn't the view... I'm pretty sure the view is limited because it's not like the window like covers the entire ceiling. It just covered like the middle of the ceiling. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You're riding this omnibus. I witnessed the events in the cabin to the sky in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of this cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? Oh, by golly, gee golly, really? Obviously at this stage you can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypocritical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, uphold the prosecution's demand. You identified the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Here?
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord, as you can see. The seat opposite the one on which the victim and the attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on the seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Guard!
Objection!
It's quite possible some pattern was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth to ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Alhodo? I honestly don't know who could have been. Who could have been in the other seat, which is out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck. The frickin' murderer, right? I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. I don't know, maybe I should have said no. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Oops. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense still didn't name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be a chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... Wow, he's like 32! Holy shit! Sorry, I'm like checking out to Fancy's age. I don't know, Magnus, right?
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hell with chalice, do forgive the tortoise's courtesy. Lord Van Seeks! People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Whoops. Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. Damn, Basics, why are you so savage? When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact it's the very premise on which this case is built. Yeah, but what if the guy sitting next to the victim was the murderer? But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates inconsistency that can't be reconciled anyway. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both of the hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection.
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection.
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly, they both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party I've yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on the passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection.
And who was this third party? The murderer, obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Order, order! What exactly are you postulating?
Objection.
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes, the tops of their hats are obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Yes, that's right, both gents most certainly had it. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilda would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the pack. Unless, that is, you're proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin which he traveled. Ah! He's right. If there was another person traveling in a closed cabin at the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilda would have been unaware of it. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused Mr. McGilda to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will already have made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilda is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man had been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilda to testify or not? Demand his testimony, let's go! Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilda to the stand. In that case, I'd like to hear the opinion of the jury. Ah, yes, sir. I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilda has to say. I got the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something is doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Harry, what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Okay, fake leader. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Ralph, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGill, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court decides to hear from you. The first is whether or not there's a third party in an omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person were deemed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Big head, no, 'tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all or keep me mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage and I, with myself and the other man, there's another passenger. It's true? Hey, and told me you helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... what? No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now. Oh, I'm truly sorry, so am Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing even when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was... well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this very here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare that. Young hearts and young minds are easy to manage, my lord. And who is this young child of whom you speak? That? I don't know. You don't know? Hey, well, the wee thing just happened to be in a carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here at this court matter seek, listening to the proceedings. What? The what? Wow, there's a freaking fire going on. Be careful, Miss Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody. Clear the courtroom. We are hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. But we will continue. And I will continue. I don't know why I keep on saying we whenever I play a game by myself. I'm just like, oh, yeah, well, we. But, like, I guess I just think of the protagonist. Like, I just think of me playing with the protagonist. So, yeah, I just say we, even though I'm the only one playing it. Like, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Okay, I think I saved. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15 I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGill was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGill actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he'll summon to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. According to Coach and Mr. Beppo, I guess the gal just like sneaked in the carriage. He took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there was in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right, that's strange. Counsel for the defense kindly proceeded to the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We're going straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand to testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mrs. Sato. Yes. There's the young girl next to Mr. Brigilda. Look, she must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather uneventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. I believe you established the cause of smoke which failed proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, or the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. And now occupies the stand. I mean, you could just like not use the smoke grenade and just leave. But like, okay. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which just induced just pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? If I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilda. I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why is it that this wee lass is here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that? 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilda. Give her testimony. You will explain to court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs to have information or anything. On the night in question, I took the back seat in an omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where the scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. What? What? I remained somewhat baffled, I confess, from what I got on the night in question. This young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. 'Tis lost as the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start.
Hold it!
You're the first passenger as it were, I see. Hey, that's why I took the backside. Tis most comfortable, so it seems. So it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, to see how you already described earlier. I talked about the seat opposite in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, tis most comfortable. And of course, I enjoy gazing at the sky from time to time as well.
Hold it!
Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground, that sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed. Well, now you remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fell on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment you did hear a scream. From the seats above you in the roof deck, I assume. Not above me, no, my lord. Tales from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was just stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes.
Hold it!
You set him up, the victim, you mean? That I did on the seat across from me. As I said, I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? This is common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Arrah! Lord Van Seeks, now what would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would call the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well, now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest? Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone's thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, but at all possible, to avoid getting me up in a tangle in trouble. Are you suggesting you're just going to leave the scene? Heavens alive, no, I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only, I don't mind to find out whys and the wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes, the screaming says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing.
Hold it!
It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside? Good gracious, under your backside? And when I looked at the seat on which I was sitting, I found there's a wee cubby hole there for storage. This is now our holder, we can sound the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course, the whole bus is submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. Okay, why don't we look why don't we look at the carriage? Alright. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Yeah, why did Van Seek say nothing about this one? Like, now that I'm looking at the floor here. Okay, why don't we look at this? The seat has a handle, it seems. Oh. This is a storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. I can't either, man. It's just very strange. Okay, I think that's it. For now. There was a child in there, all curled up in the ball. Okay, press. Hey, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. Well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. Ugh, you're really overacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, not just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to the corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure, a gentleman in position can also ought to find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fellow's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the sky, he must have seen this young girl and this gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Hey, my lord. Okay, I think this is a good time to end part 9. I'm gonna continue part 10 in this recording session, but yeah, this will be part 9. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Meanwhile, I'm gonna continue part 10.